First, we have the Galaxy S20 lineup, which is the S20, S20 Plus, and now the S20 Ultra. As you can see, cameras were a big focus for Samsung this year. So there's a little bit of incremental changes as well, which we'll get into, and then we'll dive right into these cameras. Let's check it out. So looking at the design from the front, you're not going to be able to tell much of a difference. It's going to be a lot of the same edgeless, bezel-less designs that we've seen before with that Infinity O hole punch display. We're looking at 6.2 inches, 6.7 inches, and 6.9 inches on the S20, S20 Plus, and Galaxy S20 Ultra. In hand, they feel like pretty light devices, which is typical with the Galaxy S lineup. They do feel a little bit thicker in hand though, and you can likely thank 5G for that, but they're still pretty light devices all the way from the S20 up to the Ultra. The biggest and best part of the new design is going to definitely be that 120 Hz refresh rate. It's very smooth, you can see the difference immediately, and it also has a 240 Hz refresh rate for touch. So you're going to have a really nice smooth experience on these beautiful Super AMOLED displays that Samsung's been able to produce. Samsung's also introducing something called Bluetooth Share, which allows Galaxy owners to share their Bluetooth connection to other speakers all through the same phone. So Samsung knows just as well as most of us that one of the main reasons that anybody's getting a new phone is for a better camera. So they tackled this in kind of an interesting way with this series lineup. So starting with the S20 and S20 Plus, we have a massive upgrade to a 64 megapixel main sensor. And that's paired with two 12 megapixels for an ultra-wide-angle lens as well as the telephoto lens. The S20 and S20 Plus can do 3 times optical zoom and up to 30 times digitally zoomed. Jumping up to the S20 Ultra, we have a 108 megapixel main sensor with a 12 megapixel ultra-wide and a 48 megapixel telephoto zoom. With this, you can do up to 10 times optical zoom or 100 times digital zoom. This utilizes something called Nona binning, which is 9 pixels into 1, something we're very familiar with on previous phones, but is now getting stepped up into a much larger scale with the Galaxy S20 Plus. The S20 Ultra's 5th camera is actually angled within the frame so as to pull in more light from reflection as opposed to having to make a bigger sensor in total. The entire S20 lineup will use something called Space Zoom, which is essentially AI zoom mixed with their super steady optical stabilization, which now can do rotational stabilization as opposed to just side to side and up and down. One of my favorite new features is something called Single Take, which allows you to just put your camera in sort of an automatic mode where you can click the button and it will take about 10 or 8 seconds of content. Now what that means is it could be wide-angle content, it could be telephoto, live focus, or it could even be a small video. And it'll produce about 14 clips or pieces of content for you to choose from based on what it deems best for that shot. So for instance, if you're in a portrait shot, you're gonna get a live focus photo with that blurred background, or you might get a wide-angle shot if you're looking at a landscape, for instance. This will be available on the front-facing camera as well across the entire lineup, as well as the ability to shoot 8K video on the main sensors. So pricing is pretty much what you'd expect here. $1,000 for the Galaxy S20, $1199 for the S20 Plus, and then $1399 is what the S20 Ultra will start at. All of these start with 128 gigs of storage and 12 gigs of RAM, but the Ultra and the Plus give you the option to also get 512 gigs of storage, but no bump in RAM. Pre-orders will start on February 21st, with devices being shipped on March 6th.